Hello and welcome back to another KCC video. I'm Rob and today we'll be jumping into ProRevenge. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you know when the next video goes live. Our first story today comes to us from Phoenix 103082. I did what my mom told me to do and got revenge. Let's jump right in. Disclaimer, this story is not meant to belittle single mothers nor people with mental illness. And yes, I do love my mom, but this was a story about how things can come back to bite you. So just some backstory here. My parents divorced when I was just in kindergarten, so no more than 6. My mom got full custody of us and she suffered from mental illness. I believe she has a borderline personality disorder, and she was also a typical narcissist parent. Anyway, ever since the divorce, she would always tell us how it was not her fault. We didn't have enough money for things and blame my dad. Example, if there was nothing to eat for breakfast and we complained like small children do when they were hungry, she snapped, "It's your father's fault, so cry to him." I just learned never to complain and do without and spent my childhood taking care of her. My sister and I were trained from when I was about 8, my sister 10, to come home right from school and do our homework and clean the house and take care of ourselves. Don't ask mom to make dinner, make it yourself, and all of the chores so mom doesn't have to do anything. It sounds bizarre, but we thought that was normal, as well as being hit and told on a daily basis that we were worthless. It got worse my senior year of high school. My grandma died a few months before that summer, and my mom quit her job and blew through the money my grandma left her before the summer was over. This was close to $75,000 back in 2000. She refused to get another job and kept coming up with excuses not to work. "I need a break. Get off my back. I hurt my leg," etc. While she was going out drinking with her friend and acting like a carefree teenager. So I spent my senior year working hard at school, at my part-time job after school, and pretty much taking care of an overgrown child who refused to work or help out. Anytime a utility shut off or there was no food left in the house, she just griped, "You have a job, why can't you pay it?" If I brought up the fact that my dad sent her child support, she would just complain that she had my sister's tuition, which I later learned was BS. She would flaunt that child support check and laugh and refer to it as mommy's paycheck. Flash forward to when I am about to choose a college and my mom keeps bellyaching about the costs and of course has zero saved in a college fund. I couldn't afford a private university since I only was offered a partial scholarship, so I decided to go to a reasonably priced and still highly regarded state university. My freshman year, I was pretty much able to swing the cost of tuition and room and board. I lived on campus since last year of high school. I filed my taxes and FAFSA as soon as my W-2s came in, so I had a decent amount of grants. During my first year of college, I almost became unable to receive financial aid for my second year of college. Why? My W-2s were mailed to my home address, and my mom, being the caring and supportive mother she was, shredded them and threw them in the trash. I found out because my sister was home that weekend and saw it. My mom denied, and when I came home for spring break and pressed her for it, she lied and said her friend had them. Her friend was a CPA. My sister called my mom out on this bluff by calling the friend who said she did not have any of our tax information. She was very concerned and told me and my sister to request duplicate W-2s and have them sent home, and she will have my mom send them over to me. My mom was pissed that we had checked with her friend and called her out on her bluff, but true to her word, her friend did my taxes for me and my FAFSA. I had offered to pay her or at least babysit for her, but she told me it was okay. I think she knew my mom was mentally unstable and felt sorry for me and my sister. At this point, I learned that my mom had not been helping out my sister at all with tuition, like she claimed, and my sister had mentioned it to my dad, who had called her out and demanded to know where the child support was going to. My mom insisted he wasn't paying her enough money, and that's why she couldn't help us out. During my second year of college, my W-2s were once again sent home, and my mom once again accidentally threw them in the trash. I had to request duplicate W-2s from my summer job, not just once, but twice, because she kept throwing them in the trash. I filed my tax return late that year, and as a result, my FAFSA was filed late, so I wasn't able to get the full amount I was receiving before. Any time I complained to her about money or no food in the house, it was, "Complain to your father." Well, the summer before my third year, I was burned out on my mom's BS. I was working full time for the summer and saving as much as I could. but she was refusing to help me out at all while I was home with food or anything. She was pissed that instead of paying the phone bill so she could make long-distance calls to her online friends and spend all day in chat rooms, this was back when we had dial-up, I had the audacity to spend my hard-earned money on a cell phone and pay that bill myself. She told everyone I should just drop out because I wasn't applying myself hard enough. I was in the honors program, and she would play martyr with all her friends about, it's so hard when you have kids in college and they eat you out of house and home and come to you for money. At the end of the summer, I had saved $1,000, but the school won't let me move into the dorm unless I pay 50% upfront, which was about $10K. I didn't know what to do, as all summer the university had told me I was fine, and then on move-in day, told me I couldn't move into the dorm. I called my dad in a panic, and he spoke to someone who agreed to give me 24 hours. I moved in, and the next day my dad showed up first thing with a coffee and a donut for me and told me not to worry. He was going to fix this once and for all. We went from office to office on campus, and he co-signed a loan, which he later paid off for me, and then he paid the balance on my tuition for the loan didn't cover. He then took me out to lunch and told me the truth. My mom never helped my sister with her tuition. My sister had graduated the summer before my junior year of college. My sister later confirmed this, but was not surprised my mom had lied. My dad had co-signed a loan to help my sister out, which he later paid off for her, and my sister was able to get a scholarship and do co-op to pay for her last 2 years. He also advised me that my mom was not so poorly off. As part of the divorce settlement, he had to pay the mortgage and property taxes on our house. And even though my sister was now out on her own, he was still paying her the same amount of child support of about $2,000 a month, despite the fact that I was living on campus for 75% of the year, and my mom was not giving me a dime. Just to give you some clarification, my tuition and room and board before financial aid kicked in was $15,000 a year. So she could have easily helped me out with school, since after financial aid kicked in, when I was able to get it, the balance was usually $6,000. I was hurt to think my mom was just living off my child support and constantly making me feel guilty for wanting anything, or for not being able to cater to her every whim. She would get pissed that I wouldn't come home on the weekends to help her clean the house that I was not living in. I thought about how bad she made me feel growing up and made me feel worthless when, in fact, had it not been for me or my sister, she would not have had a roof over her head after the divorce. He asks me to grant him access to my account so he could prove my mom was not paying for college and that I was. He asked me how I would feel if he took care of college instead of paying my mom's child support. Sounded good to me. He even told me I could spend my breaks at his house instead of my mom's. I called my mom and told her that my dad had taken care of the issue and she had no remorse. She told me it was my own fault for not planning my finances better and for pissing away my money all summer. I just played it dumb and said she was right, but pointed out I had done what she told me to do and complained to my dad. A month later, my mom called me up pissed. My dad had spoken with the courts and there was going to be a hearing in their divorce case. My dad had proven that my mom had not been paying for mine nor my sister's tuition for college, and that was the very reason my dad was obligated to pay child support till I was done college. Since I was living on campus, it didn't make sense to pay her child support when I was not living at home most of the year, and she wasn't giving me one penny. My dad told the judge he would gladly pay for me to finish college, but he was not going to pay my mom any more child support, nor pay the mortgage on the house. If my mom didn't want to take over the mortgage, they could sell the house and I could live with him over my breaks. My mom was freaking out over this and calling me selfish. I just reminded her that my tuition cost a lot more than what she got in child support, since she was never able to help me with the costs of school. She just kept laying guilt trips on me about how I was selfish because she didn't get to go to college right after high school and how she never got to have 4 carefree years of college. I pointed out to her that she had not worked since my grandma died about 3 years ago, and that I was working and going to school at that time while she got to live a carefree life. She pretty much ripped me a new one at that point. She tried to get back at my dad by not paying utilities on the house to make it seem like she needed the money. She then told me that the electric and water were now shut off, so if I wanted to come home for winter break, I needed to help her out. She had moved in with her boyfriend at his condo. I just told her that I would miss her, but that I would just go to my dad's for winter break. She was pissed and cried about how selfish I was for not wanting to come home for Christmas. Side note, the Christmas before, my present was throwing out many of my personal belongings. Why? My mom was pissed off at me that I didn't want to come home one weekend to help her clean because to get home, I had to take 2 buses, 2 trains, spend $20 one way, and wait for her to hopefully remember to pick me up at the train station, which was a whole 20-minute drive for her, after I had traveled for 4 to 5 hours because I had finals, and I told her I would help clean for the holidays once I came home for winter break. Her response, she took all of my things, threw them in boxes, and threw them out on the front lawn. Most of my things were destroyed by being left out in the rain, and I threw away most of them. I told my mom that I would come and visit her over my winter break once she got the utilities turned on. I told my dad what was going on, and he said he and my stepmom and my half-brother and sister were thrilled I was going to stay with them for winter break, and he can get me a job in his office as well for winter break. He also called my mom and reminded her that the child support had not stopped, and they were going to list the house in a few months. So what was this nonsense about the utilities being shut off? She was pissed, but magically came up with money to turn them back on. That spring, my dad, officially by the court, took over my college tuition, and he even made sure I got my full financial aid since he had picked up W-2s for me. My mom lost her child support and was told by the judge that she better cooperate with the sale of the house and keep up with the utility bills, etc., so it would sell. Her boyfriend moved in with her till the house sold, and she moved to another time zone. The real kicker, it was cheaper for my dad to pay college costs than to pay her child support. To summarize, my mom abused and exploited me, and I got my revenge by causing her to lose her child support and free rent by doing what she told me to do for years: complain to my father. No regrets. So number 1, we learned that they had a really crappy divorce settlement because he was still paying for offspring older than 18 and the mortgage on the house. Seriously, there's 2 things to never buy cheaply in life: toilet paper and divorce lawyers. It's great to see so many people building up the KCC community, but the majority of you watching this video right now aren't actually subscribed. If you're enjoying this daily Reddit content, please hit that subscribe button. It's free and you can always reverse it later. Our second story today comes to us from Psycho Steve 10mm. Be sure to pay your IT help. Let's jump right in. I had been working at a computer repair shop on a commission-based system. We would get PCs in and the techs would not get paid until the repair work was paid for. And if the client did not pay for the work performed, the shop would take possession after a time and resell the equipment. It was not uncommon for techs to be screwed out of the work they had done. To make this job sound even more appealing, the shop owner would throw PCs from his friends and family to fix, which was not paid work. I was looking forward to pretty big checks due to just cranking out the repairs, but I found out that these were all friends of the owners, so I worked for free those 2 weeks. One of the things that we do is pull the hard drives and create a complete image of the whole drive for archival protection to be wiped after the job is done. Turns out that the owner of the computer shop and his wife were part of the swingers community and were hosting a small but local swingers site that they ran off of the notebook they brought in for repairs. I grabbed the hard drive and told the owner that he needed to pay me for the work I had done. The owner fired me on the spot. I had grabbed my tools and I walked out the door without realizing I had the hard drive in my hand. The owner had built a reputation in the small town it was located in for being a good Christian business, and the owner portrayed himself as a pillar of the community. I happened to get the information off the drive, and I was able to get access to his passwords, plus close to 4 terabytes of pics and videos of their swingers website. Waiting on my 3 weeks for the last check, I decided that I would go scorched earth instead of looking for a payout. Step 1, his business. I had some time to look over the labor laws and found out he violated quite a few of them with me. We were treated as contractors, but he took out taxes and SSI, which he never paid into the system. The other thing was, we were required to clock in like hourly employees, but were paid on commission. So due to the pay structure, many employees were getting well under minimum wage for some weeks. Step 2, his reputation. Having the sign-on information, I decided to do a few interesting things with the company website and their swingers website. I put a link at the bottom of the company webpage where I directed people to the swingers site they ran, and I changed the password authentication to allow everyone into the paid areas of the site. I also took down some of the pixelated pictures of him and his current wife and posted the original pics. It took them about a week to find out about all of this. I also sent out a mass email to everyone on the owner's email list to check out the swingers site. I also gave his ex-wife the drive to help her in her court battle. The fallout: long-standing contracts had terminated by his clients in droves. The labor board did an investigation and fined him for his rule breaking, and the IRS did an audit where they found further evidence of his crimes. In the end, he lost his business, his kids, his reputation, and his current wife, because he thought he was too much of a big shot to not pay his IT help. Okay, it's a good story, but OP has just confessed. He stole a hard drive, he hacked into someone else's website, and he shared and revealed private information of other people. I sincerely hope their Reddit handle can't be traced back to them in real life, because that would absolutely suck. Thank you to both OPs for posting their stories in the ProRevenge subreddit. They are linked in the description down below. Please go check them out. Check out one of these other videos, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories.